Today, President Trump announces that he's considering revoking the security clearance of former CIA director and notable communist sympathizer John Brennan and other top officials. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every one of these episodes starts the exact same way. I say thank you to all my subscribers because I fully realize without you guys this channel wouldn't work, and I'm thankful for everyone who comes on new. It's just really incredible. If you haven't hit the button already, please come here, hit the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as videos get posted, you'll be notified, because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, here's where we're going to start basically with this story about the beginning of when Q started telling us about John Brennan. Now, we all know John Brennan has been bashing the President of the United States relentlessly through his Twitter account, calling himself a complete nonpartisan when he is the most partisan person I've ever heard speak. And we're going to break down a few of these early posts about Brennan and the implications they have, along with a few other things. But before we do that, I want to share the start to the press, where this all started. It was in the White House press conference when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked a question regarding whether or not President Trump was going to look into revoking the security clearance of John Brennan. And this is the response Sarah Huckabee Sanders gives, and I want you guys to listen to this carefully.
Thank you, Sarah. Senator Rand Paul today made a strong attempt to vitiate the credibility of former CIA Director John Brennan, saying that he's, and I quote, monetizing his security clearance and that it should be removed from him. He even called on the president to do this. Will the president consider Senator Paul's suggestion and call for the removal of former Director Brennan's security clearance?
Not only is the president looking to take away Brennan's security clearance, he's also looking into the clearances of Comey, Clapper, Hayden, Rice, and McCabe. The president is exploring the mechanisms to remove security clearance because they've politicized and in some cases monetized their public service and security clearances. Making baseless accusations of improper contact with Russia or being influenced by Russia against the president is extremely inappropriate, and the fact that people with security clearances are making these baseless charges provides inappropriate legitimacy to accusations with zero evidence.
So there you have it. Basically what was being said is these people are using their high security clearance that they still hold outside of their positions now that they've stepped down or resigned or been fired in order to wield political influence, and in some cases to monetize that information for their own self-gain. So that in and of itself is definitely morally reprehensible, and I think there's definitely some laws that could be cited, but those have to be discovered by the president's legal correspondences or legal advisors, and they're going to have to figure out if there is an actual precedent by which the president of the United States can actually remove these people's security clearances, because you can just read about what they're doing. I mean, first of all, the stories are all over the place here, and it's basically, you know, here on CBS, they're talking about all this is going to happen. But I mean, look at what John Brennan's writing. This is the kind of stuff he writes. July 16th, here's a tweet from John Brennan. Donald Trump's press conference performance in Helsinki rises to and exceeds the thresholds of, quote, high crimes and misdemeanors, unquote. It was nothing short of treasonous. Not only were Trump's comments imbecilic, he is wholly in the pocket of Putin. Republican patriots, where are you? We're right here, Mr. Brennan, and we'd like to tell you that your comments and your monetization and politicization of your security clearance is going to end as soon as the president finds the precedent by which he will remove that from you, because you are the problem. You are what's wrong with our country. You are what ran it into the ground, and you are the one who we are trying to right the country from. And it's not just John Brennan. It's everyone. You have here, a day ago, you have Susan Rice saying that President Trump-Putin meeting was a historic mistake. What, going in and basically having a real conversation with President Putin about what happened with Hillary? Again, we're not blaming our adversaries for taking advantage of our corrupt politicians. We can't blame China for doing the best trade deals for themselves. That's their prerogative. Just like we can't blame Russia for trying to do the best trade deals for themselves to get all of our uranium through Uranium One, and then to give that uranium allegedly down to North Korea and Iran through a very, very complex deal that was set up to basically continue dictatorial authoritarian regimes, give them nuclear weapons, and make them the threat that can hold the whole world hostage. But this is not where it ends. Then you have Michael Hayden, the former CIA director here, saying, quote, from a week ago, "I'm laughing at Trump." I mean, this is what we're dealing with here. They're openly chastising, deriding, undermining the president of the United States, and it has to stop. And these people at least should be stripped of their top security clearances, because I don't want these people being read in on anything, to be quite honest. They don't represent me as an American whatsoever. They don't represent my opinions. They don't represent my thoughts, and they certainly don't represent the duly elected administration or the Freedom Caucus and the members of Congress who have stood up against this kind of stuff, or the judges who stand up against this kind of stuff. They don't represent any of that, I don't think. And I think it's really unfair and it's really unwise to leave these people with the security clearances. And then, I mean, James Comey is just a complete nightmare, this guy. Just read through his stuff. Democrats, please don't lose your minds and rush to the socialist left. This president and his Republican Party are counting on you to do exactly that. America's great middle wants sensible, balanced, ethical leadership. Yeah, why weren't you saying that like 6 months ago? 3 or 6 months ago? Why aren't you making these calls? Instead of chastising and deriding the president, undermining his ability to duly administer his administration duly, as he was duly elected by the American people. I mean, it's like he says that, but then in the same breath, he's over here back on July 16th. Having sold out our nation on an international stage, Mr. Trump will now explain it all to Hannity and Tucker Carlson. I'm guessing RT and Sputnik were unavailable. He owes it to our nation to sit down with a serious journalist. Is James Comey really seriously suggesting that Hannity and Tucker Carlson are somehow affiliated with the Russians? That's imbecilic. That is moronic. That is the nonsense that these people put out there. And I've heard that James Comey is just a little wimp who's terrified of Hillary Clinton and Bill, and he's basically has his tail tucked between his legs since the election, and he's trying to do his best to get out alive. And you know what? These people, can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, basically. You guys are in this, and you're in it deep, and now you're trying to call out American patriots like Tucker and Sean and others, the president of the United States, and call them all treasonous? These people are the sick, treasonous, evil ones who have infiltrated our government, sold us down the river, and given us nothing in return except their lies about their own higher loyalty, and that they're serving a greater purpose when they're just embezzling money out of the government and doing everything they can to basically destroy the America that we know and love and replace it with some globally funded authoritarian regime that's not accountable to the American people, that is offshore and out of our lives, but it controls every aspect of our lives. So that's what we get with these people. And I just wanted to point that out before we talk about these few posts here, because they're going to tell us a few interesting things. You know, Q always tells us to go back and reread things, and we're going to reread these today. So from December 22nd, we have this post where an Anon post, we already knew this and it was talking about what Q had said before about something else, but Q responds with this right here. And really quick, if you're scratching your head going, who is Q? Come here to the landing page, watch this video, and then if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button or hit it anyway. Don't care. I do care, but thank you. I don't care what order you hit it in. Also, come check out these last few videos. They're going to update you. And guys, we're going to talk about something else here in this video later about what happened with another airplane that had to be intercepted that was flying basically directly at President Trump's golf course where he was this last weekend, and they had to get an F-16 fighter to come escort it out. So this is real. These are real threats that are apparently being thwarted, thankfully, by the military and the Secret Service, who are working diligently to perform their jobs. But we have to remember the Remingen family, and I'm going to put a link to their Patreon at the end of each one of these videos for at least till they hit their goal, because I want them to have, that, because Noel Remagen was an American hero. He was a Secret Serviceman who lost his life in Scotland, having a apparent stroke after a Greenpeace person tried to glide in. It's just a crazy story. You can hear more about it here. But we're going to go right into it. It says, what do clowns do with the access codes and tech? Who controls North Korea? Who really controls North Korea? What families are protected using leverage? Bank financial leverage, nuke strike package leverage. Why is Iran protected? Why is Iran funded by the U.S.? What news about Iran broke? Drugs? What about WMDs? Why did Brennan, others, provide false intel re North Korea capability and Iran tech, nuke development? Plate full, have faith, Q. So we've covered this before, I think, briefly. If we haven't, I apologize. And it's basically going over this. North Korea was a CIA asset. And what do I mean by that? All of the top generals who are in charge of the North Korean army, as well as Kim, were basically co-opted through their finance a long time ago. And that state was used. What's been insinuated is that this, and I'm not saying that any of this is fact, it's all conjecture, it's all theory at this point, but what was basically surmised about it all was that you have the CIA who went over, infiltrated North Korea, took over, gave them the nuclear weapons, and then they had the systems in order to guide those nuclear weapons if they were launched, and they could guide the missiles as they were leaving. Now, why is that important? Well, then they could use that to hold hostage basically all of the Pacific through that kind of rogue element. And having that rogue element has been just an underhanded way of doing business. And you see right now with the instant expansion of China, they realize now that they can't have that duopoly they had between the CIA and China, basically trying to control all of Southeast Asia and vying for different parts. Now China is being more aggressive and trying to push the United States back out of South Korea, out of Japan, out of all these countries by making these territorial claims on the South China Sea and expanding them further and further. It's a definite challenge to what was going on there, because it was a very covert way of controlling that area. And now China understands that there's even when we have this infighting, there is a slight moment of weakness. But this was all masterminded, apparently, allegedly, by Brennan, Clapper, Comey, you name it. Maybe not Comey as much, I would say, because he's more on the FBI domestic side. But definitely Brennan and Clapper were aware of this. And President Obama's administration was definitely aware of it. Susan Rice was definitely aware of it. These people were all aware of what was going on. And you have to think about it this way. If that was their strategy, what was the end goal? The end goal was to create a regime outside of the democratic systems in which, or the democratic systems in which we use in our republic. They wanted to supersede those, go outside of them, just like they want to create the global government that supersedes the American Congress and the American people. But we won't let that happen. Now, it's talking about what was the bank and financial leverage. That's what I mean about how they took control of North Korea through financial leverage. Then it talks about why is Iran protected? Well, Iran was protected and funded because of Project Cassandra, which was started in 2008 by you-know-who, ding, 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 the President Obama administration. And what it was a investigation of the Hezbollah becoming, that had increased its involvement with drug trafficking and organized crime as a method of funding activities. Well, I would say that based on the information I've been studying and reading out of the Q drops, it would seem that the insinuation made by Q is that this project was actually cover for infiltrating the drug trade in that area and becoming, just like we did in South America, the biggest drug runners, because it's how we fund our black operations. So just another little piece of truth that if it is true, nobody's going to want to have out there. And I'm just going to throw it out there for you guys to think about. And you guys let me know what you think, because I'm not going to tell you whether I know that's true or not. That's just the theory that's been insinuated after reading through all of Q's work here. And I just wanted to give that one to you guys. Giving them WMDs, again, makes them a threat. It was a way to extort money out of the EU. It was a way for them to give the authoritarian regime the power to control their people, while at the same time creating a system similar to Saudi Arabia, where it would be a capitalist society put on top of an authoritarian regime, where the authoritarians would be in charge of making all the business deals, and all the business deals were given to them by Obama's administration, the intelligence agencies, and the EU working in conjunction with one another in order to create a piggy bank that they could basically rob along with the authoritarians in Iran. And that is the whole story there, guys. I hope that makes sense. That's the way I've heard it. That's the theory, if you will. Now, the next one I thought was interesting, talking about Brennan here, talking about Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Antonin Scalia, 187, Clown Black, Brennan Q. And it gives this picture, right, talking about the Q was giving us this post from February where he said, public interest Cape High, Uranium One FBI informant, Iran, DWS, W. Wasserman Schultz, Pakistani intelligence, Muslim Brotherhood, tarmac meeting, Supreme Court Loretta Lynch deal, Antonin Scalia, 187. Then on April 2nd, Q says again here, April, IG report, Sessions public attack, Rod Rosenstein problem, Steele's broken arrests. Why was Huber made public? Why now? Everything has meaning. Awan, tarmac, Iran, North Korea, Uranium One, FBI, DOJ, Mueller, election integrity, immigration bill, border wall, military start, big month, Q. And it points to this post, this tweet by President Trump on the 15th of April where he says, Comey throws Attorney General Lynch under the bus. Why can't we all find out what happened on the tarmac in the back of the plane while with Wild Bill and Lynch? Was she promised a Supreme Court seat or AG in order to lay off Hillary? No golf and grandkids talk. Give us all a break. Guys, and this is when President Trump called it out for what it was. Loretta Lynch went on that plane to meet with Bill Clinton, and there's been an insinuation that Barack Obama was on the phone in some kind of conference call. The insinuation and theory being given to us by Q is that Antonin Scalia lost his life because there was a deal that was being proposed for Loretta Lynch to become the next Supreme Court justice, assuming that Hillary Clinton wins and that the investigation into her is dropped. A kind of quid pro quo. But that's just a theory, pure conjecture. I can't give you any facts to back it up other than the circumstantial evidence, which we can all see very plain and clear here in this video and others that I've done in the past. So that's what it is. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she probably would be able to step down. They probably would have had 2 replacements there. And then who knows who else would have been able to get. And Anthony Kennedy, if he stepped down, you're talking about 3 positions right there. So, yeah, guys, this is a real deal. So then the next one we're going to cover, this is kind of the last one I wanted to talk about quickly before we talk about a couple other things, is reread the 5 Eyes. Avoid U.S. data collection laws. Hussein Public Dossier, FISA, not public. 5 Eyes, UK, Australia, POTUS. Targeting using pushed Russia decoy meetings, campaign insertions. Hussein, HRC, LL, Brennan, Clapper, National Security, White House Situation Room, Operation UK, Australia, Assist, Setup, Q. All right, guys, I'm going to break this down for you. We've talked about this all a lot, and it's been featured in several of my videos, but I'm just going to re-break this down quickly because this sums up the entirety of the truth as I see it and as Q is being inferring and insinuating as it to be. It says the reread 5 Eyes. The 5 Eyes are the 5 intelligence agencies who share data. Avoid U.S. data collection laws. So you have New Zealand, United Kingdom, United States of America, Canada, and Australia sharing information with one another about each other's citizens in an attempt to avoid data collection laws, breaking their own data collection laws. And more specifically, the Obama administration was using this mechanism to avoid breaking data collection laws here in the United States. Easy enough, simple enough. That's where Hussein comes in. The public dossier, the FISA. So they went to FISA with this fake Steele dossier as evidence that President Trump was involved in this Russian collusion. And then they used that subsequently to spy on Trump from there forward. Illegally, mind you. Because when you go back and study where the dossier came from, came from John McCain, it came from Hillary Clinton and the DNC, it was funded through them, that's how it came to be. It came through 2 different reporters, Korn and Simpson, Korn and Simpson, who basically had this 3 different versions of the Steele dossier with a bunch of fake stuff in it about when President Trump went to Russia. And then not only that, they used that as the reason to spy on President Trump after they planted people like Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and others into the president, into Trump's orbit in order to justify the surveillance further, to give them an opening. And what it says here, not public, is Five Eyes and the United Kingdom and POTUS, and Australian POTUS, targeting using pushed Russia decoy meetings. So the Five Eyes, UK, because you got to understand, this all goes back to a tip that was given to, I think it was George Papadopoulos from an Australian cabinet member or something like that. So this was all started by the Five Eyes, and they planted these seeds in order to justify their surveillance on the president, because they wanted to observe him and to see if they could use anything against him, or if he was one of them or not. Who knows, right? But they said Five Eyes here, UK, Australia, POTUS targeting using pushed Russia decoy meetings. So they had these decoy meetings to fake out the judges into giving the FISA warrant, when, you know, the judge granting the FISA warrant was like out at dinner parties with Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, so or somebody close to that. So go figure, right? So this is saying, though, that Hussein, HRC, and Loretta Lynch, Brendan Clapper were all sitting in the national security, were sitting in the White House Situation Room in a joint operation with the United Kingdom and Australia assisting in the setup in order to create falsified precedent for spying on the president, or on then candidate Donald Trump's campaign until he became president of the United States, and even further past that. This is illegal. This is the complete usurpation of all of the entities that were created to protect our rights and to protect us with by enforcing our laws. They've broken all of our laws and used them against us, allegedly. So that's about as plain and simple as I can break it down without, you know, I don't know how else to say it more plain. If you guys have a better way to describe it, let me know down in the comments. I'd look forward to hearing it. But now here's a couple of stories that I want to talk about real quick. First of all, you have this story coming out here talking about Trump clobbers Washington Post over claims he's impatient with pace of North Korea nuke talks, as he warns over owner Bezos' of Amazon that the post office might end its cheap shipping rates. And what this all goes back to, of course, is the President of the United States tweet that we see. We'll pull it up real quick, that he put up today, going over this. And it says here, the Amazon Washington Post has gone crazy against me ever since they lost the internet tax case in the U.S. Supreme Court 2 months ago. Next up is the U.S. Post Office, which they use at a fraction of real cost as their delivery boy for a big percentage of their packages. Okay, we're going to, in my opinion, this is a monopoly. I don't care how convenient Amazon is for you. I don't care how convenient it is to have Alexa be able to play a song for you. First of all, she's spying on you. She's listening to everything you say, and she's giving that to advertisers, so don't forget that. And that if you think that she just wakes up when she hears Alexa, well, how do you think she listens to know when you say Alexa? You ever thought of that one? Right? But then on top of that, you have, I've heard a report recently that Amazon makes up over 50% of the United States e-retail, so online retail commerce in this entire country. Amazon makes up 50% of it. And I've heard that Jeff Bezos makes over $275 million a day. And if you just look at the way he runs his factories, I mean, he employs, forgive me, of course, employs tens of thousands of people across the country who basically are treated like slaves, in my humble opinion. Listening to some of their stories and listening to the horror stories of working in an Amazon call office, or working in an Amazon delivery factory, or shipping hub, the stories are just beyond horrible. And this man is making more money and more money every day. And I'm not against capitalism, but there has to be there has to be some regulation. You cannot let monopolies get so big that they become these monolithic monstrosities that want to take over every system in our lives and then use that monopoly to control us. That's the biggest problem. You have this guy, he owns Whole Foods. So you go into Whole Foods, they sell you on Amazon, then they listen to everything in your house and know what you eat. Then you go on to Amazon, they know everything you buy. Then you read the Washington Post and they tell you what to think. I mean, next thing you know, he's going to have a line of, personal servants that come to your house and tell you how smart you are when you write your posts about how President Trump is a Nazi. I mean, that literally, I don't know where the end is. And I'm saying that sarcastically because who knows what they'll do. But that's what the way they want to talk about our president. They want to say things like that. They want to call him treasonous. They want to call him these derogatory terms. They want to compare him to Nazis. I mean, it's an unfair comparison, and it's not even remotely close to being true. Besides that, it's completely gross and completely disrespectful to the people who went through the tragedies that happened in association with the Nazis. But regardless, that to me is something that we have to keep an eye on, and it points to the fact that we are just always meant to stay cautious of these things, and we're going to call them out what they are. And I hope that this post office case goes against Amazon, because I don't think they should get a subsidy on every package they send from the United States government. I don't think that's fair. I don't want them to have that much control. I don't want the subsidizing my tax dollars to go into Jeff Bezos's back pocket. I'm sorry. Okay, there's plenty of people who can run businesses, who can deliver, who can open up a store, who can sell the products you need at a good price. It doesn't have to be this way, in my humble opinion. So this is the other story I wanted to cover real quick. USA Today reporting that there was that the White House had confirmed a military jet intercepted small plane near President Trump's New Jersey golf course. So apparently over the weekend, while President Trump was at his golf course in New Jersey, it would seem that this plane wandered into a restricted airspace and had to be assisted out by an F-16, and that's to put it lightly. They said that they interviewed the pilot. He was deemed a non-threat. But to me, it's just very, very suspicious that this guy was flying in a plane, came out of nowhere, and you see the result here yourself. And to be quite honest, if you're in a plane, if there were evidence, I'm sure it could be ditched somewhere between where you got pulled over, if you will, by the F-16 and when you end up landing. So you could have tossed anything out of the window. It could have been a weapon, could have been something. But I'm just saying, let's be quite honest, this is really disturbing. And to me, we have to pray for our president. We have to pray for the Secret Service. We have to pray for the United States military. We have to pray that they all can withstand whatever the evil is trying to throw at them, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to support our country, support our president, support each other through a firm belief in the most important thing, which is God. Now, that being said, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. I know there's so much more you guys want me to cover, what's going on with the latest as far as the Russia dossier and the proof that it was all, a fake, and that it was, well, we go over that every day, and I don't want to, reiterate it, but the proof's out there. I mean, you guys can go read the documentation for yourself. It exists. It's written in black and white if you want to see it, but if you don't believe me, go check it out for yourself, because I don't want you to believe me. I want you to go research. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to trust that I will point you in the right direction, and then leave it up to you to use your own sensibility and logic to make a rational decision based on the evidence at hand. That being said, I want to say thank you all for watching. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, obviously the best way to do it is to come here to this landing page. If you have not hit the subscribe button already, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. It's free for you. It's like throwing me a buck, and it helps me out more than you guys will ever know. So please come click that button. That makes a huge difference. The second best way is to scroll down to the end of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments, because like I say, we try to have our own QAnon research board, but we're not just talking about Q. We're talking about everything the mainstream media won't cover. And speaking of the mainstream media covering things, there was a piece on NBC where they talked about QAnon, and I thought it was really fascinating to hear the lies that they spoke, that they wanted to put out there, and the way that they basically butchered the actual story. I mean, it's really incredible. What they want to do is conflate people who study Q and study what could be going on beneath the surface with those who believe in crazy conspiracies that I'm not even going to say, with fear of them cutting out a clip of what I say and using it against me someday. So I'll just suffice it to say that when they make those accusations about us, that pushes us to work harder, to find more evidence and to find more proof. So if that is really a tactic they're going to use, it's going to end up backfiring on them. Not to mention the Streisand effect, and that is definitely going to work against them in the long run. So they can keep doing what they do, and we'll just keep doing what we do over here, and that's really starts with you guys down in the comments having that conversation. Now, another way you can support is to come over here and find me at Twitter at Justin_formed. When you guys come find me on Twitter, you can check out what I've been posting. You know, all this stuff going on with Michael Ian Black and Patton Oswalt and James Gunn and this sick pedo globalist Luciferian stuff. Guys, it is sick. They think it's funny. It's not a joke. I don't know anyone who would make those kind of jokes about kids. I don't know anybody who would make those kind of jokes in any sense. It would make me really uncomfortable if somebody started saying these jokes around me. And not that that should be a factor, but what should be a factor is what positions do these people hold, and how do they have access to the power that they do when they have this kind of just incredible sickness, it would seem. I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. If you guys want to get more info on that, come here to at Justin_formed. You can read through some of these. They're sick. I don't want to play them. I'm sure they're too small to really be read here on the screen. But if you guys want to see all that, I didn't want to share it all. But look, it has to be done. We have to expose it. So you guys can come support me at Justin_formed. We're going to keep fighting the battle over there. Now, if you're looking to support the channel financially, I really appreciate it. The best way to do it is to come over here to Patreon, patreon.com/JustinFormTalk, or you can search Justin Form Talk. When you come to this page, click this button to become a patron. Anything you contribute helps. It's a monthly donation. It's what keeps this channel alive, and I really depend on you guys, and I'm thankful to each and every one of you. So thank you, everyone who comes over here and donates. That really means a lot to me. Now, before we sign off here, we're going to talk about the most important thing. What is the most important thing? Well, as you all know, I always end talking about God and talking about the message of God and what is really important about it. Well, to me, one of the things I think is hard to overlook is the fact that God's kingdom is everlasting, and God will protect us and be with us in our time of need, and God will guide us and give us the wisdom and the strength to be strong enough to handle these things, and to be strong enough to go out into the world every day and do our jobs and take care of our families and take care of our friends and be there for our friends and be there for our community, be there for our church, be there for our brothers and sisters in Christ, you know, to give back and to do the right thing whenever it comes to that. So with that, I want to talk about a piece of verse that I was reading, and it jumped out at me. It jumped off the page almost, because I was reading through it and I'm thinking, you know, God, these are the exact words I want to share with everyone out there, and it couldn't be more appropriate. So I'm just going to read it, the whole thing. It's Psalm 145, and I think obviously God's words are far more profound than mine, so I'll just share them. It's Psalm 145 saying, I exalt you, my God the King, and praise your name forever and ever. I will praise you every day. I will honor your name forever and ever. Yahweh is great and is highly praised. His greatness is unsearchable. One generation will declare your works to the next and will proclaim your mighty acts. I will speak of your glorious splendor and your wonderful works. They will proclaim the power of your awe-inspiring works, and I will declare your greatness. They will give a testimony of your great goodness and will joyfully sing of your righteousness. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and great in faithful love. The Lord is good to everyone. His compassion rests on all he has made. All you have made will praise you, Lord. The godly will bless you. They will speak of the glory of your kingdom and will declare your might, informing all people of your mighty acts and of the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. Your rule is for all generations. The Lord is faithful in all his words and gracious in all his actions. The Lord helps all who fall. He raises up all who are oppressed. All eyes look to you, and you give them their food in due time. You open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and gracious in all his acts. The Lord is near all who call out to him with integrity. He fulfills the desires of those who fear him. He hears their cry for help and saves them. The Lord guards all those who love him, but he destroys all the wicked. My mouth will declare the Lord's praise. Let every living thing praise his holy name forever and ever. Yeah. Sometimes listening to the word of God is so uplifting. It just makes me want to shout it from the highest mountain I can find, because the glory of God is that great. And when you're in those dark times, and even I have been there, where you're calling out to God and you're saying, God, I know this is tough, and I know this is the worst situation you could have ever, or I could have ever imagined for myself. Please, I apologize. I seek your humble forgiveness, and make me your humble servant, and just give me whatever blessings you see fit to give me, so that I may serve you, Lord. And that's what it takes, is that kind of devotion, to know that when you're put in a position where all seems lost and everything seems hopeless, and you're the most down and out you ever have felt you have ever been, that's when it's most important to call to God. I was having a conversation with somebody recently. We were talking about a problem that she was having with her spouse, who had been treating her very badly. And we were just discussing in general how when we're blessed by God, how when times get hard, we're pushed to turn to God, right? And what I thought was interesting, and I thought we should all take away, and what I was telling to her, was that it's important to turn to God in those times, but then the real challenge, the real struggle as a Christian, and it usually isn't a struggle if you're truly devout and you really love God, but it can be even at times for everyone, because we're all imperfect humans, is just looking to God in the times when there is no tragedy, or even in the time when there is no blessing, when nothing's going on at all, basically. That's when you have to look to God, is every day, every hour, every second, have him in your mind, on the front of your mind, as a way to think about decisions you make, and a way to think about actions you'll take, and a way to think about what you'll do and how it will serve God. Because that is the kind of behavior I believe God is more than happy to reward. God says to us basically through this verse here in Psalm 145, it's verse 18. It says, "The Lord is near all who call out to him with integrity." That's an important little qualifier there, because if we don't call out to God with that true integrity and that true humble spirit, to know that we will be satisfied with whatever God's plan brings us, then God may be hesitant to give it to you until you've reached that place. And so that's why I told her, and I'll tell you guys, don't ever give up hope. Don't ever think that God's not answering your prayers, or that God's punishing you, because your prayers are going to get answered. You just have to remember to call out to the Lord, but call out with integrity. And remember what that means for yourself, because it's very individual. So I hope you guys take that away, and take that into your hearts if you don't take anything else away here today. Again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please come here on landing page, click the big red subscribe button. But that's going to be it. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching and who has subscribed. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Again, thank you. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.